construction contractor. We were formed late last year and by two people synonymous with construction. So we've got Andrew Roberts, who was the son of the founder of Multiplex, and we've got Pete Sarotti, who's the largest European construction and engineering firm who operates in over 18 countries across 4 different continents. So I'm excited about today because starting on a new construction firm over the last 6 months, I spent a lot of time having a look at what processes and systems we're putting in place. Technology is the core of our business plan, and in fact rates up at number 1 of what we're trying to achieve over the next 3 years and make sure we are certainly moving into a digital world. So before I start with the panel, it'd be really good if you guys could just introduce yourself and tell the guys who you are.
Yeah, hi, I'm Hugh Hoffmeister. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Envision. My background is starting my career in aerospace engineering, where we were automating design of aircraft in the aerospace industry, worked in defence and then in construction and oil and gas. So I guess those mixed backgrounds have led to what we've applied in Envision, which is all about real-time construction management. It's about the supervisors and engineers in the field being able to capture on a daily basis progress, costs, timesheets, dockets, and then change through events. So we're really focused on having daily and weekly reporting cycles for project leaders to be able to make decisions and see if a $50,000 problem tomorrow rather than a $500,000 problem that they can't influence 6 weeks down the track. So that's me.
Fantastic. Hi, my name is Matt Chapman, Head of Enterprise Mobility at Safety Culture. Safety Culture makes an application called iAuditor. Safety Culture is actually founded in Townsville, but we now have offices in Sydney, in the US, and in the UK, and it's actually the #1 mobile inspection tool in the world, and it's used by roughly around about 75% of the top 50 ASX listed companies. And essentially what it is, it's a simple mobile reporting tool that gives you insights into your frontline workers that then as a management team you can make business decisions from.
I'm Michael Trussler, co-founder and co-CEO of Felix Software, which is an enterprise marketplace software. So we build enterprise marketplaces for construction clients. So to onboard their supplier bases, manage their supplier base, engage with that supplier base, and then rate and review that supplier base in a life cycle. I'm a civil engineer by trade, so I kind of live through a lot of the issues on site dealing with those types of things. So I'm very passionate about fixing the problem.
David Broadhurst. I've worked for 35 years in the building and construction sector, coming through labourer, excavator operator, leading hand, supervisor, superintendent. 7 years ago I was involved in an incident on a job and felt we had to find a better way to communicate critical information to guys with a trade background. And we basically now are on a journey with industry to see how we can increase capability through better knowledge transfer mechanisms, just so that guys remember stuff.
Thanks. I think we've got a very well qualified panellists here to help answer some of the questions. So let's just start with the basic question, and probably to you, Michael. If a company is looking at trying to improve its systems and implement new systems, where do you think we should start?
Good question. We come at it from many angles. We've got our national sales manager in the crowd there who's laughing at me. But we come at them from many angles. We might come in and try and talk to the CFO, CEO. We might come in and talk to a contracts administrator and get some usage, an estimator and get some usage, HSE. But in the end, what we try and do with our software, because it touches so many people, is get all the stakeholders in the one room. And if we can do that and get buy-in from all stakeholders, it makes the job a lot easier. But kind of what we have found is that you really do need that champion in the organisation. Construction organisation's a big convoluted beast a lot of the times, and if you have a real project champion that gets your software and gets why you've built your software and why you want to implement it, then it makes it a lot easier and a lot more successful.
Yeah, I think it's about being clear about the goals. This is from the perspective of a contractor or a client. looking at what the goals of what you're trying to achieve are. And that's obviously something that you guys have been considering. In starting with a blank sheet of paper, Kate and Ken mentioned earlier this morning about the importance of mapping the process. So I think understanding your process first before enabling the technology, is really key. I think also, particularly in the day and age that we're at now, starting with planning to have open architecture, so being able to integrate applications together. The idea of having just one application to rule them all. I haven't seen it working in too many places, so maybe not planning to do that right from the beginning it might be a dream but not achievable.
Do you see there's any common mistakes that us clients of yours make when we're starting to implement new change?
I think it's really important you need both corporate buy-in, I believe, as well as project buy-in. It's been said a number of times today about the fact that the construction industry is made up of project-based organisations that are only around for potentially as short as 12 to 18 months. So I think it's really important to have a collaboration between the project and and corporate, and they're the projects that we've seen working best. I think not so much. I think that's the mistake, is not having that collaboration and buy-in to then achieve success. I think it's really important that the project's brought in, that the project leaders on that technology journey are communicating it consistently through all levels of that project organisation down to the doers that are going to be implementing the change. Crossing company boundaries will require communication with subcontractors as well. I've seen it work really well where you have champions of the change, and part of their KPI of success in their own role is the success of the technology change. So, a recent case study I could refer to is where, and it's been probably the biggest change that I've seen, is going from a project that was doing 600 paper dockets a day, and you would never think that you could transform them into all, the majority of workers on the ground submitting an electronic docket each day. And that's what we've seen, 95% of those people on the project are doing electronic dockets, either through their own phone or through a colleague's phone. So, and that came through, I guess, that sort of structure I was talking about real buy-in from the project, consistent communication, coaching, and following people up.
So we need proper buy-in. How about you, David? Have you got any thoughts on that? What mistakes that us clients of yours make?
I think it's been a theme right through any of these talks that we've been listening to today about collaboratively bringing these changes in. We find that if it's not a top-down and a bottom-up approach, there's a lot of frustration in the middle. And I think what we possibly do as well, and because of my background, we've had to keep our business really, really simple. Because I feel that I am our audience. And so when we partnered with a large global software company about 3 years ago, the two things that I wrote on a whiteboard in our office was the two filters that we run any of our innovation through. And the first one is short attention span, and the second one is fat fingers. Because if we don't cater for our end user audience, we can spend millions of dollars on technology, but it gets circumnavigated every day of the week. And so, and probably something I just wrote, if I can find it again. I'm not the best of technology operators. Give me a couple of levers and a big 30-ton machine around me, I'm all right. But this is something that might be useful. But one of our guys put a really great, simple change matrix together that we share with our clients as part of the onboarding. And if you have vision, skills, initiatives, resources, and action plan, you will get change. But if there's one of those components missing, you get confusion. If there's another of those components missing, you get anxiety. If there's another component of that missing, you get resistance. Another component, you get frustration, and another one, you get false starts. And I would imagine that all of us in this room have possibly experienced all of those feelings over the last few years.
Good answer. One of the things I've noticed in my journey is I've had a lot of consultants come to me and ask me said, oh, you don't need to get worrying about what software providers you need to use, Emma. I'll do that for you. You hire me. This is what the large firms do. Have any of you had experience with that, and whether it's better, whether it's done with the existing talent pool in-house, or whether a third-party software person or provider can help implement your systems better?
I think for us, it's a bit of a tick box if a construction organisation is spending money on a consultant to help them, because then we know that they're serious about implementing a software. They're not just getting you in, kind of hearing you out, and they'll make a decision in 12 months' time. Like, consultants are expensive and they're supposed to know what they're doing. They're supposed to be able to quicken the process up. So for us, if we see a consultant in-house, or we have a partnership with a consultant that's working in-house, it's kind of a good tick box for us that client or construction company is kind of ready to be serious about implementing software.
Michael, do you have any thoughts on that?
I am one.
Oh, sorry. I'll stop reading now. Matt, sorry.
Do I have any? So we've partnered with a few consultants. It really depends on the situation. The interesting thing with iAuditor is we don't actually have a sales team, we don't really have a marketing team, and so ours has all been end-user-driven acquisition growth. And so it literally starts, one person downloads it from the App Store and then it goes throughout. And so consultants for us haven't, to be honest, been the most successful route to success, but we have done a few partnerships we're testing at the moment. So it really just depends on the organisation and what stage they're at within the sort of journey of iAuditor. Because what we find is it starts very, one pocket and then sort of spreads out. When it's at that sort of middle level, that is when it is good for us to partner with consultants.
Interesting. So again, on my journey, I've been lucky, starting from a blank sheet of paper. I can pick up any technology device I need. But have you found that other companies haven't kept up to date with new technologies, whether it be iPads, laptops, or phones? And is the way that technology is now using, do we need these mobile devices, and do we need to deploy those on site?
I personally come from a technology background, and I think that what I have seen over the last few years is that consumers are leading that charge, and they expect that they have technology on site. I think companies are sort of lagging a little bit behind on some of that, and what we see with iAuditor, and the reason that iAuditor has been successful, is because people are downloading, as I said, downloading that from the App Store, either Android or iOS, bringing it onto the work site and doing it themselves. I think it would be better if that was sanctioned across the whole business, and you had a whole device strategy, rather than it just being individuals bringing devices into the company.
I don't think there's any shortage of both hardware or software. I think where we possibly fall over is sometimes forgetting that we've got two very different audiences that we need to have engaged with those solutions. And just as a matter of interest, how many of you guys in this room have got some sort of a higher level of education, tertiary or engineering, or just a show of hands? Because we don't seem to have any trouble getting you guys to adopt stuff. It's the guys that don't have a tertiary education that we possibly underestimate their ability to adopt the solutions we've got, because they've all got a smartphone, but they are classed as unsophisticated users. And research from a number of different organisations show that about 82% of our audience are intimidated by technology. And if we don't consider that on this digital transformation journey, we will possibly create a lot of people who are gun shy across our industry.
So there is a high level of there is a barrier to language and literacy then using technology on project sites. Have you found?
I don't think it's language and literacy. I think actually if we do this right, the introduction of technology can actually bridge a lot of those language and literacy challenges, and we've been lucky that that's been our niche. That was my passion to try and sort that out because of what I was experiencing as a frontline supervisor. Because most guys will not admit how challenged we are around reading and writing. And so I honestly think that if we take the right approach to the introduction of digital technology into our sectors that are renowned for being filled with low levels of language and literacy at a field level, we will actually make some major change across our industry sooner rather than later. But if we ask the guys to read a document on a tablet where they struggle to read a document on an A4 piece of paper, we actually magnify the issue, we don't reduce the issue. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does. It does. Has anyone else found technology and the use of the iPhones and technology on site being an issue?
No, I think it's an enabler because for us, we need subcontractors, thousands and thousands of them to be engaged with our software to quote back to clients, etc., etc. We feel like a guy in a Bobcat now can compete as well as someone at Coates Hire who's in the office and is a business development manager. He can get all the information on hand, see who the client is, read the plans, read the scope of works and quote back to the client in a simple and easy way on his lunch break or on the toilet or what. We've had anecdotes of that. And that just enables them to do it kind of on site, on the go, etc., etc. They're pretty much, a lot of them are owner operators, or you've got a concreting subby who's out there doing the concreting himself or what have you, and it almost levels the playing field that they can almost develop their business in an on-site way.
We've heard a lot about change management today at previous sessions. Do you have any comments on whether us as your clients, again, invest enough in training and change management? And if we don't, how can we do it better?
Yeah, I can take that one. So I think there's definitely a mix of projects that do invest well in training and some that don't. Obviously, the most successful ones we see, there is a strong investment in training, but I think it goes beyond training, it goes into support. So I think project leaders are risk averse. They don't want to be feel like they're on their own. So I think it's really important that they know that. I think there's where software companies can really help you with following up their users and making sure, communicating with them when they're doing well, and where there's areas of improvement that they can benefit from. Being willing to, within reason, be able to adapt, the software to meet the needs of, the underlying processes that the projects want to follow. So I think that level of training and support are all really important to change management, making change sustainable, because I think if you just go out and train some people and then walk away, it doesn't always stick. So use that as a follow-up and coaching.
The guys in the office, they gravitate towards solutions that we can provide as technology providers, but the guys in the field, we found that if we're not alongside a lot of those guys, even younger guys, if we're not alongside those guys as part of the implementation process, showing them how to download the app, showing them how to do the basics that we all assume people know, that's where I think the training needs to be focused, not on the guys in the office, because they'll just take to it like a duck to water. It's the guys that we need to get that information and that critical information from in the field space that are on the front line, that if we don't support them the right way with the right level of ongoing support and training, it's that rubbish in, rubbish out. If we don't get the right data in from our field guys, the decisions we make in the office we could create perverse outcomes because we are not getting a real story of what's going on out there. So I think very much, if we, as a technology group, if we had to focus on what we look at as far as providing support for the guys in the field that haven't done engineering or architecture, they're the guys that we need to engage better, because they're the guys who are causing rework and having safety incidents because of their possibly behaviour background that we need to get better at tapping into.
I think that's the interesting thing that we see as well, the same thing, is that we need to engage those frontline workers, because if you don't engage them and they don't participate in their own health and safety, then it doesn't work. And that's been the interesting journey for us, which is a little bit different, is that we don't go into that top level. We can literally have that bottoms-up view, so people are really participating in what they care about, getting home safe every day, and that quality. Yeah, it's interesting.
And I think for us, we're a little bit old school in the way that for clients, we go out and do community engagement. So we'll get all the builders, subcontractors in a room like this and literally engage with them almost face to face and run through the application and the onboarding, etc., etc. Especially in more rural areas, we've gone and done it in Bundaberg or what have you, to a couple of hundred subbies in a room, and kind of that little bit of an old school way kind of resonates very well with the smaller end users, subcontractors, etc. Which hopefully we don't have to do too much in the future. But I will also say that kind of since we started in 2012, that end user in just 5 years has gotten so much better at mobile usage, etc., etc. And I think it'll be kind of in the next 5 years. Hopefully, we don't have to do any of it. Hopefully.
Let's hope so. So we've got all four of you from different businesses, and you've all got a different way of getting in there and training your clients who will be our staff. Are any of them ever confused by the amount of different systems they've got to use? And sometimes you'll train them and go, well, that's not how someone else told me how to do it, on a completely different system. And if that's a problem, how do we try and overcome that?
Do you want to cover that first?
Okay.
One of the clients that I spoke about earlier, their frontline guys gave back their hardware because of all the different systems and apps and all that they were expected to engage with. And so one of the things that we did with our solution, we created what they call a universal end user interface. That the unsophisticated user only has to log into one system and one user interface that can then leverage to other databases and systems. That, like I say, the guy in the trench, I'm familiar with that app, I know which button to press, which button not to press, but if I need to speak to different databases and systems to pull information or push information, I'm now comfortable with that because I only have one login, one interface. I'm now more comfortable in using that. And I think that's what we've got to start looking at, is how do we work smarter as an industry group, remembering who our end user audience is out in the field.
And I don't think this proliferation of apps and applications is going to go away, right? Like we're all coming at it from different angles, all of our parts work together, but it's only going to get broader, not narrower, I think. Yeah.
Do you have issues with legacy systems that your clients have as well, and how you integrate with them?
Not at all. No issues.
I think always, all the time.
Always, all the time, definitely.
I think especially when you're dealing with government, private enterprise are a bit more keeping with the times. And then you've just got to give them reassurance that what you're bringing in isn't going to corrupt their systems or isn't going to mess with their systems. But I think as you start dealing with government organisations, that's where APIs and having the right integration is critical. So I think for all of us, I would imagine the legacy systems, and it was mentioned in a talk earlier, like actually your CEO, the way that they've been able to develop stuff that's probably going to lead the industry is because they didn't have a legacy system to try and navigate to come up with some really good solutions.
Yeah, I don't have legacy systems, so it works for me. I'm happy. So how can organisations make sure that the change is sustainable? So you've come in, you've trained our staff on your applications and your platforms. What can we do to make sure that change is sustainable without having to rely on you all the time?
I think it's just about the engagement for us. Like what we try and do, we don't really do training. So ours is all in. I know people on the same decision, it's a little bit different, but ours is all about engage that worker, make sure they feel that they're part of the conversation, and then they will actually do more with it than you could ever imagine. That's how we've been successful, is not forcing anything on workers, not making them do training they don't need or want to do, and making sure that they're actually getting value out of the system.
I think for us, we want our client and their subcontractors to love the software and to love using it, and helps them in their everyday, like they literally use the software every day. And I think that we kind of try and build the software with the mindset of if we take it away or what have you, then that would really, really harm their day-to-day and really, really harm what they do in their everyday life. So I think you want it to become ingrained in their almost daily habits and daily use, and that will kind of put you in a very good stead for the future.
I think it's also important that whatever you're doing is adding value to the people using the system, as well as those that rely on that value as well. And that really makes things sticky. I think someone mentioned earlier on today about, it was your CEO looking at the processes for your business and making sure that you cut out the pieces that aren't adding value. So if people are doing something just because there's one person that you needed this information 3 projects ago, really question why you're doing that, and just get them focusing on the high value things and delivering value back to the end users.
We're right. I think it's looking at, and one of the taglines we've been working on is equipping guys for life, not just for work. Because if you can provide an interface that they've got different sources of information that's not necessarily work related, all coming to the same centralised source of truth, whether it's around mental health, financial literacy, a lot of the challenges that we need to get better at managing across our industry sectors. I think if we can show, and I just look at, if I see value in something, and as an analogy, how many people have gone and bought a tool from Bunnings and it's been the best tool you've ever bought, and you've actually used it and you've talked about it with your neighbour and with your friends, and so they go and buy it. Whereas if you buy a tool that doesn't necessarily give you the outcome that you're looking for, you stick it in the back of the shed and you don't even admit that you were stupid enough to buy it in the first place. It's providing something that guys see value in, both in the office and in the field, and it's a really, really simple and positive user experience. And if we can get that right, we won't have to try and sell technology to anybody.
100%.
Sorry, I'm the CFO up here, so I'm going to ask the price question. Is the price right? Some of you guys are giving us, software at cheaper prices. We've got the software as a service model on a per user basis at some points. But there is a lot more technology vendors out there, and we are using a lot more technology than just the 1 or 2 platforms we used to use a few years ago. What's it going to do to the construction sector, and I guess you guys as well? Are you constantly going to keep the price like this? Is it going to go up, or are we going to start forcing it to keep down?
It was mentioned in a talk earlier about when you cut things to bare bones, you get a pile of bones. But I think what it is, it's understanding where to put the investment, because if we get smart at how we leverage what we build as technology providers, the expense isn't in that. The investment needs to go in training people on how to maximise and leverage and exploit what they've invested in. And so it's, and I heard it earlier about how as we get better at integration, that we can work together collaboratively, that we can find best of breed, that we can give industry a really clever economy of scale, because we've got a single platform that can basically connect and leverage with other systems that are best of breed within their genre, if that makes sense. And we've got the ability to do that now with the way technology is, but the cheaper we can make the technology, the more the business has got time and money to invest in the people to then exploit the technology.
Yeah, like in our business, when we're in a sales meeting, we I cringe when the second question is how much does it cost, because we try and make it to be an absolute no-brainer, whatever the price tag, and what's the cost of not having this type of software far outweighs by multiple zeros whatever the cost of the software is. So, and hopefully through our sales process and our value proposition, people realise that, and they almost, the price is almost just the end factor of whatever the software is. And I think that's, you've got a really powerful software if the end user, whoever you're selling to, realises that kind of the benefit they're going to get out of it, or the risk of not having it, far outweighs the cost. So even if the cost does have multiple zeros, kind of it makes it an easier conversation. You don't want them falling off their chair when they see the cost.
So yeah, we're a little bit different. We have a very low-cost SaaS model. Our CEO literally would give away the product if he could. We're very much a mission-driven organisation, and so ours is pretty cost-efficient, and it really comes down to the same. What we've been talking about is the value, and we see there's a greater value in them having the software than them not having the software. But our aim is to get health and safety into the hands of every worker in the world, and so one key facet of that is making it as cheap as we possibly can, but also still providing that huge technology value at the same time.
So before I hand over to questions, it'll be good just to get all of you just to give your idea, or if you want a few lines of what you think technology is going to be like in the construction sector over the next 10 years.
Yeah, well, I think we've seen today in previous conferences, the McKinsey reports. I've been talking to even last night colleagues about where they see the industry going is change and going to speed up. I mean, I think everyone's aware of the challenges and the problems. I talk to engineers out on projects, and they talk about the fact that they don't necessarily trust the data that they're getting to make informed decisions and they spend 70% of their time trying to work out where they are, and only 30% of their time forecasting and making changes. So I think everyone wants to flip that on their head. They want to be spending much less time trying to work out where they are and spend a lot more time making decisions that are going to reduce the schedule, the cost of a project. So I think anything that we can do to free up engineers and project managers, I think being able to collaborate with machines and telemetry on machines and being able to feed that into these systems and utilising mobile technology in the field, all these things, I think we're going to see them, I'd like to think, accelerating their adoption in the years ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a common trend that technology is only getting more prevalent. I think now, as people have more mobile technology, as you said, telemetry, more data sources, it's not only getting that data coming in, but then how to make sense of that. So we have a data science team that is bringing in all that data across the 12,000 organisations across the world and trying to make sense of that. So our aim at the moment, what we're working on, is not only getting those inspections in, but also getting those insights out. And I think that is going to be a common trend across everyone, is getting those insights out and helping businesses understand before it happens what to do about it.
Yeah, I'm reasonably bullish on the construction industry. I think in 2012, when we started, I cannot fathom what Aconex did in the early 2000s. That is it's unbelievable. But kind of in 2012, I was shocked at how difficult the conversation was with clients, and even last year it was still difficult, but this year has been a huge change. I kind of say to everyone, even in 12 months' time, and I really feel like that I say to all our guys, everyone in 5 years' time in government, council, construction companies are going to have types of software in every facet of their business, and we just need to be well placed to be in as many of those organisations as possible. So I really think in another 5 years' time, it's going to be obviously a lot better than it is today. We're probably still not going to nail it, but that's all right.
I'd like to think that we learn how to consolidate it, that we don't innovate for the sake of innovation. When you look at what people are actually utilising around the systems that they've got available, they're not exploiting what they've got now. So I think, yes, sometimes development needs to happen, but I think we've got to be careful that we don't let the tail wag the dog, if that makes sense. we get asked to do things all the time, but when you ask why enough times and what you want to get out of that particular functionality, people don't even know what they want. You know, and it's quite, it's a great opportunity, but it's helping people understand and help them really stay focused on what's your purpose for adopting this, what you want to get out of it, and how do we make sure that you get out of it what you want to get out of it so that you get a good return on investment. Once you've got that nailed down in your business, let's look at something else, but let's build on wins and build on really good user experience that everybody is seeing that it's been a worthy journey. And probably what I would recommend to anybody in this room is where, and I never understood the value of this, after we won a WorkSafe award, we were invited to go and speak to RMIT to evaluate our system. That has been possibly the best time and energy that's been ever spent. That if you can get an organisation like an RMIT to really go in and quantify what difference your software is making in the marketplace that it's been designed for, it not only helps you sit and sleep well at night, it also helps your clients fully understand what they're buying into and how they can get their best out of it. So don't ever underestimate the power of research and evaluation in what you're developing to ensure that what you're doing isn't going off on a tangent.